Hi everyone and welcome to the Jack Halford podcast. This is episode 65. I'm coming to you from my garage, my home studio. I'm going to try and make this my podcast studio now because I think the art studio in town, I don't like how there's interferences because there is other people there, which is great when I'm making artwork, but for doing the podcast, not so much. Sipping on some Tippy Assam today. Beautiful tea from India. Delicious of a biscuit. Now oh, that's good tea. It really is good tea. It must be known that if you're on a new health kick and you think you're just going to not eat crap, which includes these glorious things we call Bourbon biscuits, then that is not sustainable. Because how can you not have a Bourbon biscuit? A Bourbon biscuit with a Tippy Assam tea is one of the most delightful things one can experience, in my opinion. It really is. It's delicious. Tippy Assam. And a Bourbon biscuit. Few more crunches and we'll get right to it, my friends. That is good though. Tea in a garage. There's nothing better than that. Another reason I didn't go to the studio today is because I thought my car was really funny. But it turns out the noise it's making is just a noise. And I just drove it up and down a bypass to get the engine nice and hot. And it is driving fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just making some noises. I think it might just need a clean, to be honest. So I'm going to have a clean it tomorrow. I'm going to probably do over 200 miles tomorrow in it. So we'll definitely see if it's alright then. See if it's going to break down or not. Got to pick my girlfriend up from Gatwick because she has gone to Cuba with her parents. But she's coming back a little bit early because she's got another residency that she's starting. So how many residencies is that now? It must be like 4 or 5 that she's done now. She's fucking mad busy. It's ridiculous. But I think I might go. I might go to Germany in August because I'm really curious about this European conference on visual perception, and also an event that happens before that, which is the visual science of art, which is another sort of conferencey event. And this year it's in it's in Mainz or somewhere else in Germany. I can't really remember. Begins with an M. But yeah, those types of things really interest me because I am very interested in perception. It's another reason I went to Albania, not just because it's cheap, but just because you need to go to places like that, because under communism, that's what it was all about. It's sort of messing with people's perceptions, what's real and what's not real. Who can you believe? Can you believe your family and your friends about what they're talking about? It really is a curious and interesting topic to think about. And I like every sort of aspect of perception as well. My dad actually brought me a book of visual illusions. I've got it on my bookshelf over here, actually. Get it? There we go. Oh, there we go. Beautiful book full of trickery. Where does the line of desert palm trees end and the line of dromedaries begin? Dromedaries. Blah, 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 blah. Just full of visual illusions. And I'm thinking, when I'm looking at some of these things, I'm thinking, how can I implement these into my paintings? Thinking about the way colours interact and shapes and things. I think people just love this sort of thing. I think children love it, adults love it too. It's got all sort of kinds of links to lots of different types of cultures as well, I think. Drug culture, like psychedelics, and then like cool storytelling, dream worlds, and then real life sort of politics, all sorts of stuff. It does make you think. And anyway, I did actually come prepared today with a couple of books. I've got some pages folded over in this one, and I've got my journal here because I definitely was thinking some interesting things yesterday and I wrote them down. Again, talking about my car, tempted to go car free, at least on a local level. I still kind of agree with this thought because I think it's better for the environment. It's also better for my pocket, and it will make me fitter and give me more endurance. So I think I'll benefit a lot from that. And I've still got the option to use it if I need to shift heavy things. I was thinking about getting rid of it completely, but yeah. It just got me to thinking about how owning things kind of ties you down to a place, but a car doesn't, because it's something that you can go to other places in. So it's sort of just a good thing to think about anyway. I wrote some pros and some cons. Pros: ease, useful for goods, long distance travel, work which requires it, independence, sense of freedom. And then cons: comfort to over lean on. So it's very comfortable just to hop in your car and go places. So I've been trying to walk to the shop, walk to the gym, bicycle more. Another con: costs money. Everything costs money. What is freedom? That was a question I was asking. What is freedom? Is it the ability to just jump in a car and go anywhere? Or am I relying too much on this thing that could be taken away from me? And should I then exercise what it would be like and practice what it would be like to not have it? So to purposely not use it so that I'm used to not having it is probably a good idea. I think we all should look at our lives and look at all of the things that we use on a day-to-day basis and think, what can I live without? How can I practice living without this thing, just in case? One day, you never know when your car's going to break down. What are you going to do in that situation? Panic? No, you know what to do because you've already practiced what you're going to do. You're prepared for it. So I always talk about preparing for things, always sort of preparing yourself by putting yourself through voluntary adversity. That isn't just exercise. This sort of goes to all different aspects of life. And the Stoics would famously sort of, a lot of them were really rich, right? So you've got Marcus Aurelius as the Emperor of Rome, but then Seneca, he was a slave. So not really rich. Well, to start with, I don't think he died rich. I'm not sure. I'm talking about Seneca, but this is Epictetus. So, yeah, I can't remember if Seneca was a slave or not. Epictetus was born into slavery in eastern outreaches of the Roman Empire. Once freed, he established an influential school of Stoic philosophy, stressing that human beings cannot control life, only their responses to it. By putting into practice the 93 witty, wise, and razor-sharp, blah, 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 blah. Epictetus taught in Rome until the year 19 CE, when Emperor Domitian banished philosophers from the city. In exile, he established a school of philosophy where distinguished students included Marcus Aurelius, author of Meditations. Some 1,863 years after Epictetus' death, Tom Wolfe revived his philosophy in the best-selling A Man in Fall. What were we talking about anyway? How Stoics weren't all rich and some of them were slaves. There you go. So if they were rich anyway, they would put themselves through adversity. They would live as a pauper. They would adorn rags, eat mouldy bread, and just put themselves through the shit so that they could experience that. And I feel like if you did that nowadays, and you're a rich kid, most of them are just doing it for clout. They're not really doing it for the same reasons. Like they go and buy the cheap clothes on Depop so they can look poor, and they say fam, and they're like talking like they're working class, lower class, whatever you call this state of being. And I don't think that's very cool. But I think it's more like a sort of what a monk would do, which is just relinquish all things to do with ego, and to go without. It's not to do with looking a certain way. It's just trying to not be perceived. Like these people wouldn't even be perceived; they're just seen as like non people almost. Whereas when you've got lots of power and things, people look up to you, and you are very perceived, and you are seen, and people are looking at everything you do, which puts a hell of a lot of pressure on you. So I suppose in a way, it could actually be more relaxing for them to wear rags and to eat mouldy bread and stuff. Not on their bodies and their mind, but in a way, it might be. But yeah, I was just thinking about that, and thinking how I would like to sell lots of my possessions. So I've been putting stuff on Vinted today. I'm sure bit by bit I'll sell a lot of stuff, because there is a lot of stuff that we have that we don't use, and I don't think it's good to be attached to things, and the things we own can start to own us. Like I was talking about earlier, how things tie you down to a place. I definitely think having too much stuff can tie you down to a place. You need to get rid of it. Now, it doesn't matter how much money I get for things. It would be good if I could get a lot for things that I paid a lot for. But for a lot of it, if I'm not using it, then what's the point of having it? So I might as well just sell it so someone else can use it, so someone else can find it useful. And with all of that money, I can save it and buy something I want, or use it to travel. I think that really it should be invested further in the making of art, and the buying of materials, so that I can do more workshops and things, which is a thing that's going to help me to sustain what I do, which is to be an artist, to explore different places in order to learn for the art, and so that I can come here and talk to you guys about what I've learned, if I've learned anything at all. But I've been thinking about also how it's good to reflect on things more. So that's what journaling is. Well, I'm reading things and then I'm also reflecting on them, rather than just reading them and then putting a book down. Oh, that was an enjoyable. What did I learn from that? You know, what did I learn from that? How can I implement that in my own life? How could I be inspired by that? I think that's an incredibly important thing. Yeah. just car boots, and then I was looking at my house plan in my bedroom and thinking, oh, that needs pruning. And I was looking up how to do that. So hopefully I'll have lots of baby plants, because I've pruned a few branches off and started to propagate them. And if they do take roots, make some new roots and things, I'm thinking I might do a workshop where where we all do decorating pots. Now, I'm not sure if I want to do Posca pens on terracotta pots, or if I'd like to get people to get some nice bits of clay and go on them with this special kind of glaze, which we've been using at the moment at the studios. You can use on wet clay, which is fantastic, and then fire it, and then it's got a glaze on the first firing, whereas usually you'd have to take clay, you'd have to bisque fire it, and then apply glazes and things, and then fire it once again. So that'd be excellent for a workshop, because people could come, they could make the thing, I could fire it, and then they could come and pick it up with a plant in it to take away. It might be something that's a series of workshops, so they can do it, and then when they come back they can pick it up, and then they can make something else as well. So I think it would be good if it was a series of things. So it's something I'm going to have to plan. But it's amazing how, when we're reflecting on things and looking around and spectating the world and really using our eyes, how much we can actually see and how many ideas start to be generated. Picasso said that inspiration finds you working. I think that's incredibly true. Inspiration finds you working. But anyway, let's have a look in this book, which is called The Art of Living, and it's written by Sharon Lebell. Sharon Lebell. 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 Sharon Lebell. Now, the first page I have folded over. The title of this is The Soul's Cry, and it talks about how philosophy's main task is to respond to the soul's cry, to make sense of and thereby free ourselves from the hold of our griefs and fears. Philosophy calls us when we've reached the end of our rope. The insistent feeling that something is not right with our lives, and the longing to be restored to our better selves will not go away. Our fears of death and being alone, our confusion about love and sex, and our sense of importance in the face of our anger and outsized ambitions bring us to our first sincere philosophical questions. It's true, there is obviously no apparent meaning to our lives. Cruelty, injustice, bodily discomfort, illness, annoyances, and inconveniences, big and small, are the prosaic facts of any day. So what do we do about this? How do we, in spite of the pain and suffering in the outside world and our own wayward emotions, live ennobled lives rather than succumbing to the despairing numbness and merely coping like a mule with tedium and unbidden responsibilities? When the soul cries out, it is a sign that we have arrived at a necessary and mature stage of self-reflection. The secret is not to get stuck there, differing or wringing your hands, but to move forward by resolving to heal yourself. Philosophy asks us to move into courage. Its remedy is the unblinking excavation of the faulty and premises on which we base our lives and our personal identity. It's the remedy of unblinking excavation of the faulty on which we base our lives and personal identity. So it's sort of saying, why do we need philosophy? When do we come to it? It's when something's awry, when something's going wrong, when something's ugly is bubbling up, when we start to have problems, then we turn to philosophy. We turn to wise people, and if we don't know any wise people, we turn to self-help books, which it basically is what philosophy is. It's not as really a self-help book. It should be used like that because you have to help yourself. And that's what this is talking about. That self-reflection is incredibly important. That's what journaling will help you to do. Right, next one. Starting out is hard. The first steps towards wisdom are the most strenuous because our weak and stubborn souls dread exertion without absolute guarantee of reward, and the unfamiliar. As you progress in your efforts, your resolve is fortified and self-improvement progressively comes easier. By and by, it actually becomes difficult to work counter to your own best interest. By the steady but patient commitment to resolving unsound beliefs from our souls, we become increasingly adept at seeing through our flimsy fears, our bewilderment in love, and our lack of self-control. We stop trying to look good for others. One day, we contentedly realize we've stopped playing to the crowd. By steady but patient commitment to removing unsound beliefs from our souls, we become increasingly adept at seeing through our flimsy fears and our bewilderment in love, our lack of self-control. We stop trying to look good to others. One day, we contentedly realize we stop playing to the crowd. Steady but patient commitment to removing unsound beliefs from our souls. So it's something we have to practice, something we have to do. We have to be aware of our unsound beliefs, right? Seeing through our flimsy fears. The way that we see is through lenses of different experiences of tinted. So fears aren't just something that appear, they are something that comes from past experiences, and they tint the very lenses that we see out of. And everything that we see is sort of tinged and tinted by all of these experiences that have put fear in us about certain things, but really these fears don't exist, and they're just little bits put on by our subconscious mind onto everything that we're seeing, and we can get rid of them by choosing to actively question why do I feel a certain way about this particular thing, and why is that? Why is that? You go within. You think about all of the experiences you have, and you just think, this isn't logical, this isn't right, I'm going to do that thing, and I know something bad might happen, but most likely something bad probably won't happen, so I'm going to do that thing. And becoming healthy and trying to create really good habits for yourself and get rid of other ones that are bad is an incredibly good thing, but also be scary because it's changed, it's different. You've not tried that before, but it's really worthwhile doing. It's actually more dangerous not to do that than it is to do that. And you'll see over time a steady shift towards happiness. Yeah. See, just reading these things can make you think differently, and you just start to become a bit more yes. That's a bit boring. Trust your moral intuitions. That sounds great. We are born into essential goodness, endowed with natural intuitions about what is good and worthy and what is not. This endemic moral capacity must then be trained deliberately and systemically to bring out its best in full maturity. It is natural to want to be well regarded by others, but you must not gradually wean yourself from such dependence on the admiration or honour given or withheld by others. In good fortune or adversity, it is the good will with which you perform with which you perform deeds that matters, not the outcome. So take your attention off what you think other people think and off the results of your actions. Defer instead to your original moral intuitions and follow them. Doing things off intuition, doing good for goodness sake, for the sake of it, not because you care about what other people will think of you. It's like those people that film themselves giving money to homeless people in hopes that they'll somehow gain attention and earn their riches by doing that, by giving a little bit away. Like this sort of purposeful building of karma isn't really how karma works. I don't think that's how it really works. I think you should just be good because that's the natural way that we are supposed to be good to each other. And that's how the world will become a better place, if we are all good, if there is anything such as good. Or is it just the way that we should just be? Is it good or bad? Are we all sinners? Yes, we are. Do we all have desires and sometimes do dodgy shit? Of course we do. And we can forgive ourselves, and we should be able to forgive other people for their wrongdoings. Which is another thing I think it talks about in here, wrongdoers. But I'm not sure where. The only prosperous life is the virtuous life. Virtue is our aim and purpose. The virtue that leads to enduring happiness is not a quid pro quo goodness. I'll be good in order to get something. This is what we were just talking about. Goodness in and of itself is the practice and the reward. You will feel good if you do something for the good of others. You'll feel good. That's the reward. Not because someone you fancy saw it and you think you're going to get laid. No, the reward is in doing the thing. It's in the process, and you need to learn how to enjoy the process. Goodness isn't ostentatious piety or showy good manners. It's a lifelong series of subtle readjustments of our character. We fine-tune our thoughts, words, and deeds in a progressively wholesome direction. The virtue inheres in our intentions and our deeds, not in the results. Why should we bother being good? To be good is to be happy, to be tranquil and worry-free. When you actively engage in gradually refining yourself, you retreat from your lazy ways of covering yourself or making excuses. Instead of feeling a persistent current of low-level shame, you move forward by using the creative possibilities of this moment, your current situation. You begin to fully inhabit this moment. Instead of seeking escape or wishing that what is going on were otherwise, you move through your life by being thoroughly in it. Beautiful. The virtuous life holds these as treasures: your own right action, your fidelity, honor, and decency. Virtue is not a matter of degree, but an absolute. You begin to fully inhabit this moment instead of seeking escape or wishing that what is going on were otherwise. You move through your life by being thoroughly in it. That's beautiful. Move through your life by being thoroughly in it. How many of us are doing that at this current moment? How many of us are actually inactive and they're not thoroughly, you're not thoroughly in the moment, moving through your life in the moment. You're moving through your life in someone else's moments, because we're all looking at these screens, flicking through, scrolling through. I implore all of you to download some kind of blocker that attaches itself to screen times on your mobile devices, that will come up after you've spent 5 minutes on an app that is completely unnecessary and doesn't help you in any good way. It isn't productive. If you are consuming lots of information in bite-sized bits, you're not learning anything and you're rotting your mind. So I have actually downloaded an app called Opal, which I'm not sponsored by in any way, shape or form. They're not paying me for this. I don't think you should pay for it. There is a free version. That's the one I use. There's no adverts or anything, and it comes up and it says you can't use Instagram, You can't use it now. You've had 5 minutes. You can't use it. And then it makes it hard. You have to go into the app. And it makes you breathe in for like 5 seconds before you can even take a break for the maximum of 15 minutes to allow you to go back on that app. Putting barriers in front of things that are harmful is a great way of reducing the possibility of using these harmful things. And I think these are very harmful things, these apps, because like I was just saying, they stop you from fully inhabiting the moment, and they are the seeking escape or wishing that what is going on were otherwise. But we should be grateful. We should be very grateful that we are even alive and that we even get to experience discomfort. And sometimes we may be at a party feeling anxious, and I just think that's probably one of the most amazing things that we can be. Because we are really in that moment when we are feeling that anxiety. And you know what? A dead person or someone who's fucking being shot at in a building, some child screaming and crying, isn't feeling like that. They're just fucking being traumatized. But all you're worried about is being in this room. All I was worried about was being in a room full of people that, I'm a bit worried about speaking to them. What if they don't like my shoes? Or, You just got to put things into perspective. Just think how fucking ridiculous that statement is. Put yourself into uncomfortable situations in order to be more grateful. Somehow, I don't know how that would work, but I think you'll become more grateful, or you'll overcome your anxiety by putting yourself into it, putting yourself through it. Like I had anxiety and panic attacks for a long time, but then I actively put myself into uncomfortable situations. I drove to the fucking shopping malls and things on the busiest day, and I would walk through all of these crowds of people, and it would make me feel horrible. But I was actively doing that at the same time, actively looking at the things I was consuming and how they were having an effect on me. So all the drinking had to stop and the smoking had to stop, and I wasn't even doing it a lot, but even just a little bit of these things can make you more sensitive to different things coming in your body. Just as running did yesterday. But I ran 17 miles yesterday. Near to the end of it, I could smell things a lot more clearly, and everything was smelling really strong. Everything, all of my different senses become really sensitive near the end. It was really unusual. It was like being on, being stoned or something. Now everything just becomes a little bit more sensitive. How you can really notice things a lot more. I think it's because you're so inflamed or something, But that's what anxiety is like. You're just very sensitive and noticing everything and worrying, and your heart's beating, and there's this sense of doom that everything's going to just fall on you. It's horrible. But we can overcome it. The first step in overcoming it is having it. The second step is figuring out why you get it, and to put yourself in those situations, because if you don't do anything, it's just going to get worse. Let's talk about something else. The power of habit. Every habit and faculty is preserved and increased by its corresponding actions. The habit of walking makes us better walkers. Regular running makes us better runners. It is the same regarding matters of the soul. Whenever you are angry, you increase your anger. You have increased a habit and added fuel to a fire. If you don't want an angry temper, then don't feed the habit. Give it nothing to help its increase. Be quiet at first and reckon the days in which you have not been angry. I used to be angry every day, now every other day, then every third and fourth day. As time goes on, the habit is first weakened and is then eventually overridden by a wiser response. And I don't get angry as much either anymore, because I look at the emotion and I see it for what it is, an emotion. Something that I have control over, how I feel about certain things. That's all we have control over. The way we feel about things and see things and our own actions. We can't control other people's actions and how they feel. All we can control is how we react and how we respond. So it's very important to try and get that under control. And through practice, and this does take that self-reflection. When do I become angry? What winds me up about that thing? How can I not let that wind me up? Like, sometimes I'll hear people breathing or eating or just being around me, and I'll see it start to irritate me, and I'll just think, that's stupid. How lucky am I that I share this house and this time with these people, and how lovely they are. They're not horrible people. It's just these sensory things that can make you really irritated, but you're letting them make you irritated, and you don't have to. You have the power to stop them from irritating you. And if you let your emotions control you, then that's a weakness that you have to somehow resolve, get better at figuring that out. And we all can do it. I mean, I have a condition. I've been given a condition and a diagnosis. I have Asperger's, and that's what all of that is. But even me, I've come to realise that no, I don't have to play into this shit. I can read and self-reflect and then put into practice strategies and coping mechanisms that I have come up with myself. Gratitude is one, to overcome them. And we all can do that. And as it says here, every habit and faculty is preserved and increased by its corresponding actions. Every habit and faculty is preserved and increased by its corresponding actions. You get better at walking if you walk, better at running if you run, and if you're angry all the time, you're going to get more angry. If you drink all the time, you're going to become an alcoholic. If you smoke all the time, you're going to get addicted to smoking. Sort of habits are the same as addictions, almost. You get swayed to becoming that thing in that way. It's awful. And that can take over your life, and I don't want that to take over my life. I want to be in control of my own life, and that's why you've got to, write things down and have a look at it. Do it. You don't have to buy a book or buy a special notebook to write things down. There's no special trick. It is literally just looking within and thinking to yourself, why do I act like this? Why do I let myself have this, emotion and let that take over my mind? It's awful. Tippy Assam, very good tea from India. There's nothing else on that page. There's all sorts of stuff. Talking about how I think it's my 4th week back at the gym and how strong I'm feeling. Gotta feel good. Feel good at the gym. And it's nice to be there. And I've noticed I've become a lot stronger in only 4 weeks, probably because of muscle memory. Yeah. I'm just amazed at how many dips I could do today. I could do like 7, and that was after a 2-hour workout, hitting shoulders and triceps. At the end of a extensive tricep sort of accessory workout on the cables and stuff. Still managed 3 sets to a failure, 2 sets of 7 and then 1 5. And the past few weeks I've just been doing it with resistance bands because I didn't have the confidence. My shoulders and my elbows felt really weak. But today I felt ultra strong, even though I ran 17 miles yesterday. Every single day I'm doing some form of running, form of running or weightlifting every single day. And it feels really good because I'm eating and I'm hydrating and I'm sleeping enough. But I need not just worry about the body, but also worry about the mind. And that's why I do this, why I read and everything. So you need all of those things, the social, the mental and the physical. You need all of those things. You can combine them because I socialise at the gym as well. Always talking to people, chatting to people. It's nice, I don't wear headphones or anything anymore. No headphones. I hate headphones. I want to, over 3 hours running yesterday, no headphones. Just me in the road. It's brilliant. And the same thing at the gym. They've got music there. It's fine. It's okay. some of it's very odd and unusual, but it's good. It's good. You're not in control. It's good. You're not always going to be in control. Yeah. Yeah, the mind at large. Universal consciousness and awareness. Yeah, we were talking about that, weren't we, the other week? Free time is my most valuable resource. Scheduling seems to work for me. What do I want to do? Clean and tidy. Blah, blah, blah. Goals. Setting goals is good. Goals, goals, goals. But yeah, this is the type of thing you just, like, do it. I talked to other people about journaling and they've done it and they said it helped them. I made my brother one. I don't know if he's used it, but it's worth doing. Men, women, whatever you are, try it out. As I was saying, I was talking about selling all of my possessions and things. One thing I was doing, and will probably still continue to do, is to buy and sell things. It's like this silly, goofy character, which I really like, Goofy. So I tend to only buy things that I like as well, because I know more about those types of things. I think this is like 10 or 20 pence from a car boot. Probably get £5 or £6 for it. I got a vintage French money box, a vintage whistle, squash rackets, loads of books. Books are great sellers, but you need a lot of them, and just to keep them online. If you're going to trying to make money out of books, you have to have a lot of them and do high volume, low price. There's some books you'll get a lot for, and some of them you won't. But if you've got lots of them, then you're sending stuff out every day, and then eventually it builds. That's how it works. But as I say, I'm really interested in buying stuff that I'm interested in, because at least then I can, look at them, why they're for sale, or before I put them on for sale. And then I'm getting something from it, as well as a little bit of profit or the same I paid. It's a great thing to do as well. If you say you wanted to mow your lawn, you need a new lawnmower, buy second-hand petrol engine lawnmower, 2-stroke or whatever. Use that for the summer, and then sell it just before the summer ends. Mow your lawn, and then you get back what you paid, and then you can do it again the next year, whatever. Maybe not. Well, I suppose you could do that though, because you'd get the money back, and you're not going to use it over the winter, and then you can use that for other things. It just makes sense to me. I love buying and selling. The thrill of it. It's fun. I brought some bowls from a charity shop in Loughborough, and I thought they looked amazing. I thought, these are really nice bowls. I was looking at them a bit more and realised that they really, really were good bowls, and they were going online, completed and sold on eBay listings, for a lot of money. So I brought 4 of these bowls. They only had 4. They had some other jugs as well, which I wish I brought. They cost £3 for all 4. Sold them for about £80. So it goes to show, if you've got a good eye for looking at stuff, then you can make a lot of money. I tend to just stick to those kinds of things, rather than clothing. If I am buying clothing to resell, try to buy stuff that it would fit me, because then I could get some wear out of it, and then resell, hopefully for a profit of the same amount. Because I do think that we shouldn't just be buying from those types of shops to resell, because people do like to go in there and buy stuff if they've not got a lot. So it's sort of like an ethical thing, isn't it? You got to think about the stuff you're doing. and how it can affect other people. I've not got lots of money though, so I do actually buy most of my clothes secondhand from charity shops and all of this. But also just because I don't really care about new clothes, and I think that I can style stuff really well that's secondhand. I like stuff with character. A lot of people don't, and they don't have any taste, so they buy stuff that costs £500 and looks like shite. Yeah, but it's just fun, isn't it? If you've got £100, you can go to a car boot or a charity shop. You can get so much for that, and why not make it into a challenge and try to turn that 100 into 1,000 by buying and reselling stuff over the course of a month or something. Can be done. Fun thing to do. That's how you turn into an entrepreneur, or you turn into someone that's got lots of stuff that they can't shift. Either way, it only cost you £100. To get that £100 back and have stuff is good as well. Because then you've got stuff and you've got it back. What am I blabbering on about now? Right, I'm going to leave everyone to it. Enjoy. Hope you've got something valuable from this podcast. Buy some Tippy or Sam. Experiment with your tea. Eat some lovely Bourbon biscuits. Don't just eat healthy. Have a little bit of extra saucy sweet loveliness on the side. And see you on the next one, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Bye. Bye.